So today for this live stream, I'm going to be discussing Supergirl. If you guys caught my out of theater reaction that I did the other night, I mentioned that I thought it was a fun enough film, though I had a lot of issues with it. And for some reason, my comment section, this is probably some of the most comments I've gotten from people or subscribers, whoever, and a lot of them were giving me the usual shield, troll, whatever, when a movie like this comes out. And I'm just saying that to say, first of all, I think media literacy is dead because I gave y'all some valid reasons. You don't have to agree or disagree with me, that's up to you guys. But let's keep it chill, guys. I mean, it's just a movie at the end of the day. I know people hate the DCU for a plethitude of reasons. I don't agree with a lot of that, but I am pulling for this franchise to succeed. But I'm also going to be completely honest with you guys, and that was as honest of a review as you're going to get. It's going to be epic. What's up, Turbo Turtle? That's an awesome username, by the way. But yeah, it's going to be epic. Don't worry, I'm not going to be going into spoilers regarding Supergirl, so if you haven't seen the film, it's going to be all good. Basically, go check out my out of theater reaction if you want to know my thoughts on the film. But this is going to be that no matter what I thought of the film, and again, I didn't think it was a terrible film. It's one of those movies where it should have been better, but it could have been a lot worse as well. So at the end of the day, I would say it's slightly above average. But I think the bigger question here is the DCU kind of screwed? Because if we've been keeping up here, guys, the DCU, I mean, Superman made money, but Peacemaker and Creature Commandos, I don't think got quite the viewership that Warner Brothers or HBO was really looking for. And additionally, Supergirl, this movie flopped like crazy. I mean, I think it made like 68 million opening weekend, which apparently was lower than the opening weekend of both Morbius and the Marvels. So yeah, it's pretty bad, guys. Put it lightly. But I've seen a lot of people, saying, is the DCU screwed, and worrying about, does this mean James Gunn is going to get fired? And I'm going to get to, maybe some possibilities why he may and may not get fired here in a second. But if you want my general thoughts on this, I'm going to go ahead and say, I don't think we have anything to worry about as of yet. Now, what I mean by that is this is just really one misstep in the DCU. And yes, we're early on. There's only been technically like 4 projects, Peacemaker, Creature Commandos, Supergirl, and now this. Unless you're including the Suicide Squad or Blue Beetle, which I would consider a loose canon. But in terms of what is technically considered the DCU, we have these 4. This is the only one that really hasn't been critically well received. Now, again, I didn't mind the film all that much in the grand scheme of things, but truth of the matter is, doesn't matter what I think. The movie flopped regardless. But while, maybe Superman, maybe people wanted it to make a little more, studio execs wanted a little more money than it got, it still was a moderate hit, and it definitely did well with the general public and fans for the most part. Peacemaker season 2, I thought it was fantastic. I know a lot of other people that really enjoyed it as well. Sucker Edits, hey, how's it going, man? We're going to be talking about the DCU today, and if Supergirl flopping means this franchise is cooked, or do we think James Gunn is going to stick around? And again, like I mentioned already, there's not going to be any spoilers for Supergirl, so you can listen to this and let's just keep it a fun, civil discussion. Heck yeah, man, glad you're here. But yeah, and kind of just, I guess I forgot where I left off here, but kind of going on, hey, what's up, Brizio Tarpeo 6676? Hey, good to see you. Glad you're here. But yeah, just in terms of the DCU, I think James Gunn, and if you want the short answer, I think he's going to stay for now. I don't think there's any reason to panic. I don't see a reason why he would leave because you can tell me a secret in a second, man. Glad you're here. I'm just going to go ahead and run through this real quick, and then I'm going to take any questions or comments at the end, of course, as long as they're deemed appropriate and such. But kind of what I was saying with James Gunn. I think he's going to stay, and kind of what I was mentioning earlier as well. 3 out of the 4 DCU projects have been well received. I mean, again, like I was saying, maybe Superman could have made more money according to studio execs. Maybe Peacemaker didn't get the viewership it wanted. But I think it's more important just starting out that these movies and shows are more critically well received than anything else, because if you consistently make really good projects, and you're going to turn people around. I mean, the MCU wasn't $1 billion hit overnight. I think the first movie that made $1 billion was like the first Avengers. And even then it wasn't guaranteed that every single film was going to make $1 billion. And if we also forget, Iron Man was kind of like the DCU Superman. really well received. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people were really hyped for the future of this franchise. And then The Incredible Hulk didn't do as well with the general audience or in terms of box office. And Iron Man 2, which, by the way, I love Iron Man 2. I'm unashamed to say it. But a lot of people didn't like it. And again, doesn't matter what I think, matters, what to studio heads in particular, what the box office does and how their brand is perceived. And it took a while. I would say even the first Thor movie it was a bit divisive, but then once you hit Avengers, they really start to find their stride, and I mean they just got better and better, like up through Endgame basically. So all of that to say, looking at the MCU and then looking at this template for the DCU, this is just one mishap. Yes, I wish this movie had done better. I wish it was a better film overall. But honestly, I don't think that this is going to be too big of a deal in terms of, oh, this is a one and done. James Gunn is out of the DCU. I mean, I do think the biggest thing will be because look, listen, we've still got 2 or 3 projects that are already confirmed and in active development. Like they're coming out no matter what. We got Lanterns next month, which I will say the trailers are starting to grow on me, and I have heard some plot leaks. And, these are pretty credible sources that have been leaking this out. So I'm not saying that I can definitively say this is going to happen. Just from what I've heard from pretty reliable sources, is Lanterns is going to surprise a lot of people, that it's more cosmic than the trailers are leading on, and that a lot of fans are probably going to be really happy. So I'm just going to leave that as is. So, okay, let's say Lanterns is really great, which, not only am I just going off of what I've heard from these insiders, but we've got really great showrunners, writers, directors attached to that show. It's also an HBO show, so there's always a level of prestige with that as well. So if Lanterns can be fire and Clayface, which honestly, Clayface looks like it could be the best thing the DCU's done so far, which honestly, I wasn't really expecting to say that until I saw the trailer, but it looks so good. I'm not going to lie. So if Lanterns and Clayface can be really great, and then if Man of Tomorrow next year can knock it out of the park, which I think it will, I also think Man of Tomorrow will make a lot of money. I don't know if I'd go so far as say it'll make $1 billion, but I would say maybe like $700 to $800 million range. I think it'll make more than Superman for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think if all three of those, or at least two of those three, can be really great, then I think we don't have anything to worry about in terms of the DCU. I think we'll be just fine. However, if Lanterns ends up being trash and if Clayface sucks, then honestly, I'd say even if Man of Tomorrow is really great, then I would say you maybe want to sit down and reconvene James Gunn's future for the DCU. And again, this is all just speculation. I'm not going off of anything, but that's kind of where I see. Like right now, I would not worry. But if Lanterns, Clayface, and I would say maybe even just as importantly, Man of Tomorrow flops or is just straight up bad, because we also got to mention the elephant in the room. It's only fair that I do this. We have David Ellison, who is CEO of Paramount, buying out Warner Brothers. I think most everyone knows this by now. And if and when that goes through, which unfortunately it probably will, even though I really hate that for a plethora of reasons, but, provided that it does go through and Paramount becomes the owner of the DCU, there is this element of Paramount, a studio that is already in debt, buying another studio, Warner Brothers, that is massively in debt. They're going to want shows and movies that are surefire hits and minimize this debt as quickly as possible before they get in the same boat as Warner Brothers, where they had to sell. And then Netflix will come in and buy them for pennies. But, that's not about this video and about the merger. But just saying that to say, I think if, these projects that you do well critically, even commercially, then I think David Ellison is going to step in and let them continue with their vision. However, I do think that if, two of these three, especially Man of Tomorrow, are really bad and they flop at the box office, then I think James Gunn is out of here. But I was also, I can't remember if it was Variety or Deadline, some major Hollywood trade that, was like an official source, had pretty much mentioned that David Ellison had flown out to where they were filming Man of Tomorrow, had talked with James Gunn, and apparently, from what it sounds like, David Ellison is really on board with the direction of the DCU. So I would say, for now, I think James Gunn is safe. I don't think one mistake is going to define the rest of the DCU. And quite frankly, I think it would be kind of stupid, which a lot of these studio heads really make the wrong decisions, and I'm like, why don't you just chase after the money? But all of that to say, I think they're not going to be stupid enough to reboot the DC universe for, I guess a third time in like Man of Steel came out in 2013, so barely 15, 20 years. This would be like the third reboot for the DC universe. I don't think they're going to do that. Worst case scenario that happens, I think James Gunn will get let go, and then they'll just bring in somebody else. Keep the same, like keep Corn Sweat as Superman, and post credit scene. I'll add a Q&A sticker. It looks like, yeah, somebody asked me post credit scene, I think. There is no post credit scene in Supergirl, if that's what you're talking about. But yeah, in terms of, kind of what I was saying here is just, basically, I think it's going to depend on these other projects, but I'm not stressing too much. I know Peter Safran came out and said that they plan on keeping this universe the same as it was. And I know where I know where I left off. Sorry, guys. But yeah, kind of talking about the, you know, DCU, is David Ellison on board with this universe? Like, yeah, I think worst case scenario is James Gunn will be out as the creative visionary or whatever you want to call him, but I think they'll keep it in the same universe. Like, I think you'll still have Millie Alcock as Supergirl, David Cornsweet as Superman, maybe even John Cena as Peacemaker. But I think, and keep everyone the same basically. But you're going to bring in someone to take the franchise into a, better, more, I guess, David Ellison approved universe, which could be great, could be bad, but I don't think they're going to be that dumb to reboot the universe unless, Man of Tomorrow comes out and it like pulls a Joker 2 and just does something horrible that would completely derail the entire franchise, which I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I guess, in a nutshell, my thoughts on the state of the DCU right now. Just basically to kind of run down what I already said here, I think it's going to depend on the future projects coming out. I think it's going to depend on, I think, the commercial success in particular of Man of Tomorrow. And listen, we know the Batman 2 is going to come out next year. It's Matt Reeves. He's had, like, I guess by this point, like almost 5 years to cook. It's going to be amazing. I know that. Well, I think the first Batman came out like March of 22. I think I'm right. So it'd be almost, pushing on like over 5.5, almost 6 years, which is insane. Like Matt Reeves, like I love the dude, but he is like the George R. R. Martin of movie writing. Like good grief. But we're getting it. All's well that ends well. So if the movie ends up being great, the last thing we're going to care about is how long it took to get there. But, that I have no doubt is going to be amazing. So I have heard some people kind of going out and saying maybe, if the Batman Part 2 was really great, then David Ellison will keep James Gunn, even if the other projects kind of aren't that great, and he'll just merge the critically acclaimed Batman film into the DCU so they can say they, A, have better movies, and second of all, it's going to be a lot easier to kind of work with something that people already love and just merging him into a universe to kind of kickstart that a little bit and maybe get more general fan interest. But, I don't know how it'll play out. I don't think there's a lot of validity to that. That's just a rumor I've heard a couple people on YouTube say, but it is a possibility. And again, it's just really hard to predict anything right now until we, see the rest of the slate for the DCU this year, as well as what ends up going through with the Paramount Warner Brothers deal. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I got. This one was just going to be a short and sweet live stream. Just wanted to come on here and talk about this. Just talk about why I think Supergirl failed. And I mean, I think it's a plethora of reasons. I think, honestly, Toy Story 5 is the superior family film to go see right now. I have not seen it personally. I've tried to go see this movie like 3 different times and it just hadn't worked out. But I'm going to try to go Friday, give you guys my very late review. But from what I've been hearing, Toy Story 5 was just getting much better reviews. It's definitely a little more kid-friendly than Supergirl. If you're going in with a family of 5 and they're all like under the age of 10. Supergirl deals with some pretty touchy, darker subject matter than Superman. So if you're just going to see Supergirl because, Superman was kid-friendly, you may want to be aware of that. And I think people that do know that were opting for Toy Story 5, which was just, more kid-friendly. And in addition, it's just a better movie from what I've heard. I might go and see it and hate it, but from what I've been hearing, it's got like, I think a 94, 95% RT score. Supergirl's hovering around like the high 50%. So yeah, I mean, I think the competition is the reason, and not to mention the Odyssey's coming out in a couple weeks too, so it's not like this movie is going to have any sort of legs, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, I think it was the competition. I think it was some controversy. I cannot talk. I'm sorry, guys. Too late at night for me. But I think some controversy regarding some things Millie Alcock said about some haters, which honestly, who cares whether you agree with her or not? Like, it has nothing to do with the actual film itself. So I don't know why people get their panties in a wad over something an actor said. I mean, it's Hollywood. I would say the majority of us probably don't agree with what people making millions of dollars to star in movies think. I'm just throwing that out there, guys. Just some food for thought here. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I think more so it's just the competition and the critical reception, to just put it nicely. But I think Clayface will probably make a decent amount of money. Like, I don't think it'll be some like 500+ million dollar movie. Could be wrong, but horror has been doing really well lately. It's coming out right at Halloween. Trailers look really great. So, naturally, horror just plays to a more niche audience overall. So, I don't expect it to be a $1 billion film. Like I said, I don't even expect a $500 million film. But apparently, the movie's like in the 40 to $60 million budget range. So, if it can get up to like 150 to $250, I think it'll cap out maybe like 300 to 350. I would say that's going to be the ceiling. That's like 350 million that it'll make. And I think if it does that, it's a pretty decent sized hit. Like, people got to remember, like movies like Obsession, for example. Great film. I've heard so many people talk about this. Like, I was at GameStop the other day and some random person like behind me was on the phone talking about Obsession. Like, it's a cultural phenomenon, and it didn't make in-game level money, but I think we forget how much of a cultural phenomenon a movie can be, and it doesn't have to be the next in-game. Like, a lower budget film can make a lot of money, and I know I'm getting off topic here, but all of that to say, I think Clayface is pretty safe. I think that's pretty much guaranteed to turn some sort of profit. But yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, that's pretty much, all I got. I'm just sitting here analyzing, talking with you guys. Again, I'm not some scooper insider that's going to lie to you or manipulate you into, oh, here's the scoop that James Gunn is going to leave. Like, I'm not that guy, but I am curious to know you guys' thoughts. Let me see. I don't think we have any questions today. I see two people are watching this live stream right now, so if you guys have any questions about the DCU, what we've talked about, or just movies, shows, life, whatever, feel free to shoot it out. I'll be chilling here for just another minute or two, rambling. So if you guys have any questions, just pop them in the live chat. Let's hear them, and I'll answer them as long as, of course, they're appropriate. But let me see. Did I miss something up here? Yeah. All right. Excuse me, guys. I got some heartburn going on tonight, so that's why I'm trying to keep this live stream a little shorter, just so I don't mess it up even more. But yeah, looks like we got a quiet crowd today, which is all good. No worries. I know I'm far from the first person to talk about this topic, so I'm sure you guys have probably watched a lot of other YouTubers, which is fine. But yeah, if you're watching this later, guys, just later after I upload this to YouTube, just let me know in the comments down below if you saw Supergirl. Did you enjoy it? What are the parts that you found weaker? And where do you see the DCU in the next like 2 to 3 years? Do you think James Gunn stays on board? Do they reboot the universe entirely, which I think would be an absolutely terrible idea? Or do they maybe go the route of getting rid of James Gunn and Peter Safran and then bringing in a new visionary but keeping the same universe intact, just going a different direction essentially? Whatever you guys think, just let me know in the comments down below. And as always, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video, and I will catch you all later.